Welcome back, folks. It's another great day here on Valiant Renegade. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And do leave a comment before you head out today. Because this is where Hollywood comes to get put through the business and financial lens of reality. It's time. Renegade Online. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you all back here. Good to have you back live at 5 on a Wednesday afternoon. We are 1 week from Christmas Eve, if you can believe it. I sure as hell can't. I don't know where the year went, but good to see everybody out there. Thank you for joining us. Please smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button if you haven't done that. Or if you randomly got unsubscribed, which YouTube is infamous for doing. And do share it out on the social medias. We appreciate you. As you guys have noticed the last couple of weeks, up to and including today, we have been trying to get back to our old form of the long-form videos, meaning the things that are not shorts. I get that not everybody likes shorts on YouTube. But you've got to play the game on YouTube, so Jonas has been doing a great job putting out some shorts here and there. The long-form videos for the past week and a half or so, I believe, have all been our originals. So when you see a new video get released on this channel, 90% chance at this point it is going to be something that we have not hit on a live show. It's going to be fresh. It is going to be all new. Do not miss them. And if you've missed some of the ones from the past week, a lot of the new ones we've been getting back to putting out, go back and check them out. Especially a lot of the Warner Brothers stuff. This issue continues to grow and become more complex. I cut a video last night basically predicting what would happen today based on some early leaks out there in some key places like Bloomberg. Sure enough, by the time the video went out today, it had already come true. So that worked out great for us. But again, make sure that you guys are catching these new videos as they release. I was kind of surprised I was able to do it last night. I'll give y'all a little heads up before we dive into the show here. Always like to ease in. The crowd is still coming in. I see, we're up, we had like 50 people when I hit the go button, and now we're up to almost 200 over there on YouTube, so people are filing in. And listen, for you guys out there that have been checking out Film Threat today, doing their funeral for Star Trek, and you've come on over here, we appreciate you. We love having you. God bless to the guys at Film Threat. I bring it up because of what I'm about to show you. I was going to go on the show today. I was going to be on Film Threat. Chris had invited me last week, and I told him, as usual, doing earlier Wednesday shows is real difficult for me because I'm at work. Okay, and I was going to try to hop in to the Star Trek funeral, maybe an hour before we started here, just for a few minutes to say hi. And then something happened yesterday, which basically set me back. I had to cut my work day short and had to make up a lot of things I missed today because, and everybody's fine, that. This is typical Christmas for me. This is one of my daughter's cars. She's okay. She wasn't at fault, but yes, bye-bye car. The short version is she was pretty violently struck, as you can tell, at 45 miles an hour, maintaining her lane, going the speed limit. And somebody that appears to have been either running an Uber Eats gig or door dashing wasn't paying attention and decided, oops, this is not where I was meant to turn, something along those lines. And then from the turning lane, decided to just, without looking, apparently, just juke back in at 45 miles an hour into the leftmost travel lane, where this car that my daughter was driving was occupying. And that was all she wrote. So you can imagine how my my afternoon went yesterday. And I've still been dealing with that some today. And now I have to go get another car. This is, for y'all who have maybe heard me tell this story like every year at Christmas, something detonates, something blows up in my face, and it's usually not a little thing. This year I've got a few things that are going on. This was the coup de grace. This was the cherry on top. So, yeah. Yep. But no, she's fine. She's a little sore, obviously. She does a lot of sports, athletics, stuff like this, a lot of competitive dance, as many of y'all know, because we go down to ESPN, Disney World every year in January and February for her national competition. So we're getting into the peak competition season right now. Like, it might be Christmas break at her school, but her team does not have Christmas break. So the concern was, of course, if she had some microfractures or something, shoulders, neck, and so she had to go in today. She got some x-rays and all this kind of stuff. Doesn't seem to be anything that was fractured, but just going to be a lot of soreness and stiffness and muscle spasms for a little bit. But like I said, knock on wood, everybody's good. So anyway, there you have it. This is why I didn't make it to Chris's. I was going to try to make it to Chris's show today over on Film Thread, Chris and Alan. And I'm very, very grateful that they asked me to join them. It's always a lot of fun to go on Film Threat. Great group of people. But any case, that was part of the reason why. That being said, let's get into it here. We've got some breaking news today too. Some things I didn't expect to deal with, as is typical. But I mean, this one was out of left field for me, and we're going to get to it. But I got to grab some of these super chats first here. But Disney can kiss the Oscars goodbye. It's been nice. It's been fun. So long, suckers. We're done. Google got them. So hold on to that. We're gonna be talking about this here in just a bit. Let me get to some of these super chats here. First up, we've got Araxis. Thank you for gifting 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Much appreciated to you, our constant North Star out there on YouTube. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships. And we got to schedule our members show here. Of course, this month is extra goofy, I realize, because, Fridays. Let's see, Wednesdays are the eves, and Thursdays are the days, right? So Christmas Eve is Wednesday, Christmas Day Thursday, New Year's Eve Wednesday, New Year's Day Thursday. So we should be good. We should be good for a Friday show. So that would be, I guess, next Friday night, maybe the day after Christmas, something like that. We'll get it figured out here. So thank you guys, and thank you for the memberships. So again, those are members-only shows. So if you got one of those gifted memberships, we hope to see you there. Speaking of membership gifting, we got one here from First Dragon Queen. Thank you very much. And Tennessee Tornado threw down a gifted membership. God bless you, sir. That is outstanding. We appreciate you. Let me clear these 2 real quick. And then in addition to that, we also got a $50 super chat from Snarky. Snarky, thank you, man. Accessing equity is time-consuming and an expensive process. You get in on historic low rates and really have to consider, do I need the money, or do I keep my rate? IRRL allows veterans to lower. Okay, I see where we're going. Allows veterans to lower their rates easily if 0.5% or more a comfort. So, Snarky, am I to understand that what you're trying to do right now is do a refi and get equity out? Or are you trying to do a HELOC? I'm not going to go into the, hardcore financial here. I mean, for those of you who know, I've been doing this 20 years, but in this case, if you've got a really low mortgage rate, obviously right now refinancing it doesn't work short of you being able to keep your previously low interest rate. What you could potentially look at is a home equity line of credit or a HELOC for something like this, to where that way you don't have to disturb your existing mortgage. If you're sitting on one for like 2.5% or 3%, you can get a HELOC, which is a higher rate than a fixed mortgage, and it's variable, but interest rates are coming down right now. And then you could always decide what to do with the HELOC later on, turn it into a fixed or something. You've got some options. But, dude, thank you for the $50 super chat, man. I appreciate you. Let's see. What have I not used in a while that I think would be fun? And now I don't want to do Pedro. Pedro's terrible. We're going to get enough of this jackweasel here soon enough. Let's see. Oh, I haven't pulled that one. Well, let's you know what? We got a little bit to talk about this today. So hot on the heels of a disastrous second weekend for Fantastic Four: First Steps from Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company, coming in even lower than early estimates projected, we're pleased to announce a new sponsor here on Valiant Renegade. Shitting the Bed, a Kevin Feige story. We're very excited to announce that pre-sales for this book have been absolutely outstanding. What? What do you mean the book sales fell off 67% in the second weekend? Thank you very much, Snarky. Much appreciated, dude. Let's see. Oop, this thing just froze up on me here on the YouTube side. There we go. Now I can see it. Disappeared for a second. I don't know why that window's freaking out. I'm trying to heart comments over here, the super chats, and then every time I go to click the little heart button, it says, "Do you want to block this guy?" Like, no. What? Tech that don't work. Thank you very much once again, Snarky, for the $50 super chat. Good luck on that. But look at a home equity line of credit if the alternative is that, or refining an existing mortgage where you've already got a pretty slick rate. Now, if you're trying to reduce, okay. Araxis, I apologize. You're right. For $2, you said no, Pedro. We had a tacit agreement. All right, what I meant was, when I said, okay, I don't want to do Pedro, I meant I wasn't going to play the clip of Pedro licking the electric wand with the Stewie Griffin thing going on. Okay, that's the one I meant. That was the Kevin Feige shitting the bed clip. I didn't look at it as a Pedro clip, but I understand that I get where you're coming from. I get it. He's like, I know you know, but you sent in the $2, so I'm like, I got it, because you're right. I didn't think about it as being a Pedro clip, but yeah, you knew the one I was talking about. I wasn't gonna be mean. All right, we're going to get back to some of these other super chats here in just a bit. I want to get through this story because I don't think there are some bits to discuss here. But what I wanted to cover was, actually, let me get the ones here that came in. Oh, there's a couple more that came in before the show. StreamYard has them out of order. Let me grab these. Packing Protons for 5 tagged you in something for the artist in the family, how to use AI to improve art if you know what you want it to look like but can't draw like me. I see that's AI is a tool that artists need to learn to use, lest one way or another artists are not going to have work anymore. It's just, Photoshop came around years ago. Think about Lightroom. Did they tell, hey, you don't have to be a professional photographer. I mean, you don't even have to know how to develop a picture anymore because everything's digital now. And you can manipulate, you can have Lightroom do it all for you. No, it still takes a really good photographer and an artist to know how to use the tools that are in Lightroom. It's made the job significantly easier than the old days of dropping film into a developing fluid and having to keep it in there for, so long, to whether you wanted to push or pull the exposure based on how. Now, no, you shoot in RAW on a camera. You expose it correctly still, or as correctly as you possibly can, and then you have a more latitude in the post-production process to pull something that previously with older technology you could not. Does that mean that photographers are any less of a photographer? Does that mean that the artist is any less of an artist? No, it is a new and more sophisticated tool. That's what it's for. So, no, I appreciate you packing. He also says for $5, focus on the focus. Oh, I see where we're going. Focus on the Islam problem, Mr. President, seems to be ramping up everywhere now. Yeah, we might talk about that on Renegade Nation. I still need to get with Matthew Marsden on that. He and I, it's hard to get he and I together at the same time because of his schedule and my schedule. But I really want to talk about what's going on in Britain and elsewhere. First, Dragon Queen says, Merry Christmas. Your gift is my presence in the chat live. I know you're excited. Hugs for all. I am excited. I'm glad you're here. That's outstanding. And one more that came in before the top of the show. DBZZ now for $10. I know people support Paramount, but if they win, their debt to EBITDA ratio would be an extreme 7 compared to less than 2 for Netflix. Long term, a Warner Paramount company could be disastrous. I understand that there's always risk with taking on debt here, and you have this private equity, financing. You've got, look, there have been worse. There have been far worse in the history of things. I don't doubt that this one is not going to be one of the more lopsided ones. But again, this is also why, if you have the financial backing of somebody like the Ellisons, a lot of that, if push really came to shove, could be largely assuaged. Now, it all depends on how well they skinny things up, how much more profitable they become, and a lot of that could have to do with how they restructure things once a merger would happen. Remember, in the case of Netflix, they're just taking over the best parts of it, and they're leaving the poop, to go get spun off. The Netflix side of things, again, Netflix would have to show me how they're really going to turn that into a profit center. Because, again, all Netflix is doing is trying to get an existing user base that, albeit it's still growing to some degree, it has largely reached a point of maturation that I can't see it radically expanding beyond in the next few years, meaning that you've already got 320 million subscribers globally. You're not charging anything more to give or to have people gain access to this new product you bought. Sure, they're talking about keeping things in theaters for a while, right? We swear we'll keep the Paramounts or the Warner Brothers stuff in theaters. Again, you can believe that all you like. I simply don't, and I think 4 to 5 years from now, it's going to look very different than what they're claiming it will today. It's just a matter of time. So the Netflix proposition is going to have to be, show me on paper, right? And this is the key question for Netflix. And we'll talk about this maybe more a little bit later on. The key question for Netflix in that case is, can you demonstrate how spending $80 billion to acquire Warner Brothers, convert that into projected dollars, convert that into projected additional revenue and operating income and EBITDA and all these kind of things. Show me how that works. Does that mean that you're going to, you're going to raise the, because think about this, they consume HBO Max. Again, Netflix is $20 a month for the premium subscription. HBO Max is about $20 a month for the premium subscription. Part of what they're buying right now is that revenue stream for HBO Max, is it not? Right? If they simply decide to combine them and then keep Netflix at $20 a month, then that entire multi-billion-dollar revenue stream that once was HBO Max is now gone. Because again, let's be fair, probably the vast majority of those people that have HBO Max are also already subscribers to Netflix. It's not like Netflix is going to add in 80 or 120 million, whatever it is, new subscribers. Everywhere that HBO Max exists, Netflix exists, and I'm talking about globally, geographically. How many of those 120 million HBO Max subscribers are duplicative in the same way that we've had the conversation about the Walt Disney Company when it comes to Disney Plus and Hulu? Again, why do you I think one of the big reasons that Disney is no longer going to report what the subscribership numbers are for Disney Plus and Hulu is because they would probably terrify people once they actually consolidate the numbers. Because most of the people that have Disney Plus have Hulu and vice versa. They're the same subscribers that are being counted twice. So my point is Netflix is not suddenly going to go up to having 450 million subscribers once they acquire HBO Max. And again, now that's part of the argument they're going to make if they're successful in winning the bid. That's part of the argument they're going to make to federal regulators is that, look, yeah, I know we're the biggest streaming service, but a lot of these subscribers, they're already subscribing to our streaming service. The ones that have HBO Max, 80% of them already have Netflix or whatever the number is. Might be higher, might be lower, but it's probably close to that. So, or is Netflix going to raise the monthly subscription price to $40 a month for the premium? Oof. If they do, can they get away with it? I don't think so. So my point is, Netflix is buying an asset, mainly in the streaming side of things, that begs the question, how do they then recover the revenues currently that HBO Max is enjoying for their streaming service? Certainly there's some cost savings in there, but is Netflix going to have to suddenly jump up, from $20 a month to $30 a month? Or if you've got the $10 subscription, they're going to have to go from $10 to $17, for example? How economically elastic is Netflix in that regard, right? Just like we asked years ago, how economically elastic is a Disney vacation for most people? Well, we found out the rubber band finally got to a point where it's breaking. And yeah, they're charging more and more money to get into the parks, but the number of people that are deciding to go and go into long-term debt to finance a vacation there are shrinking, right? When their revenues and their profits are kind of flat year over year, and yet their ticket prices have gone up 10, 15%. In the past several years, even a lot more than that. Same thing holds true with Netflix. How elastic is that pricing? And I'm sure there's somewhere in the bowels of Netflix, the CFO, I can't remember his name, the chief financial officer, probably has tried to come up with some type of numbers along those lines to see what hey, if we buy this and we take on all this debt and we buy Warner Brothers, how much can we instantly turn around and raise subscription revenues to, or subscription rates, fees? They got a number, and again, they're not gonna throw the frog in a pot of boiling water. They're gonna put you in a pot of warm water and raise the temperature slowly over the course of a couple of years. But you rest assured, it's coming. It's coming. All right. Let's see. It gets us caught up to before the show, but then we got another 50 from Staccato for $50. He says Valiant Renegade's daughter's new car fund. Dude, you're awesome. I appreciate you, man. You guys are outstanding. Yeah, and if you missed it, because I know we probably got another 100 people or so in here since we covered that, but my middle kid, my 18-year-old, my younger of my two daughters, got into a pretty wicked car accident. It's totaled. I mean, the car's gone. He's fine, but the car is not fine. The car is ripped. So do I still have that image up here? For those of y'all who missed it. So yeah, that kind of, this happened yesterday. So of course, it's like what I told people earlier, in case you missed it, is this is kind of typical for me when it comes to Christmas time. Something explodes. This is what exploded. Just ripped the whole front end of that car clean off. So, I mean, the axle's bent. You can see the air box is hanging out the side of it. I mean, the frame is bent, I'm sure, underneath that wheel. So it's a going pecan. Going pecan. Okay. Let's get back to this because we got some stories to get to here. And the first one that caught my attention here came in after I kind of set the stream up. Let's talk about this. The Walt Disney Company, after 50 years, just about 50 years now, of hosting the Oscars on ABC. Well, I should say, pardon me, let me back this up. ABC has had a 50-plus year history, or will have a 50-plus year history by the time this leaves, of hosting the Oscars. I think since 1976, they mention in this article. Of course, it was in the mid to late 90s when the Walt Disney Company then acquired, through purchase, ABC. So for the last, say, 30 years now, the Walt Disney Company has effectively been hosting the Oscars. That is gone. As of 2029, Oscars shock from Deadline magazine. YouTube wins the TV rights to host Academy Awards beginning in 2029. Now, we always talk about how YouTube has been changing. The algorithms are changing. Views for lots of different content creators of a wide variety of different sizes have all been seeing seismic shifts in the last couple of years. This is why. YouTube and Google are actively trying to change their dynamic. Yes, the user content created experience on YouTube is what has driven it to this point. They're now looking to go to the next level, which is it's going to be more like a Netflix, I think 10 years from now on YouTube. There's going to be a lot more professionally produced content from Google and whatnot that, they have YouTube TV, but YouTube TV is basically a cable service. It's not a channel, right? I think this is where YouTube is really going. And again, tip of the iceberg here. The Oscars are on the move. YouTube has won the rights to host the Academy Awards starting in 2029. So just about 3 years from now, because it's almost 26, kids. The Google-owned service outbid other offers, including one from the Oscars' longtime home, ABC, which has been hosting the event since 1976. 50 years, kids, 50. Disney's deal runs through 2028. YouTube's first show will be the 101st Oscars ceremony, and its deal will run through 2033. So only a 5-year window here. Obviously, they're doing this kind of on an experimental basis, but hey, go for it. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences said Wednesday, announcing the deal. It's a major move for YouTube and marks a major shift as streaming takes on more and more live events. Netflix, for instance, now has the SAG Awards, which has recently been rebranded as the Actors Awards for 2026. One thing about that I kind of think is funny because, look, and I get it. When you think of the SAG Awards or the SAG-AFTRA Awards, look, you can't even get most of America to tune in and watch the Oscars anymore. You haven't been able to for damn near 15 years, if not going on 20. Okay? And that's Hollywood's own damn fault. And everybody knows what the Oscars is. Nobody knows what the hell SAG is outside of Hollywood. They don't, and they don't care. So again, they were going to change this to the Actors Awards, which, quite frankly, it probably sounds even more pretentious and self-aggrandizing. But I don't know. Oops, hit the wrong switch. Let me go back to this one. All right. So the Actors Awards for 2026. It means that the Oscars, the red carpet coverage, the behind-the-scenes content, and the Governor's Ball access will be available for free around the world. The pact also includes access for YouTube for such events like the Governor's Awards, the Oscars nominations announcements, the Oscars nominees luncheon. Who even knew there was all this crap? People actually were watching the Oscars nominee luncheon? Yeah, you got to be some kind of special loser to get. I mean, I understand people that cover Hollywood and this kind of thing will cover that. I'm not talking about YouTubers that cover this type of thing as part of their channel. But like, who watches this? Who watches a bunch of snotty little Hollywood brats and weirdos sit around and eat lunch together before the award show? Some people, man. There's probably more people watching a really, really fat, ugly girl do terrible things on OnlyFans than watch stuff like this. It's amazing. Good luck, YouTube. Look, but I get it. I get it. We'll talk about this in a minute. Okay, all the filmmaker interviews, all this kind of crap. So YouTube basically gets all of it. All of it. They get everything. The Oscars are one of our essential cultural institutions, honoring excellence in storytelling and artistry, said Neil Mohan, CEO, YouTube. Neil, bruh. The Oscars has not been culturally relevant in damn near 20 years. I don't know how much you paid for this. I'm sure it was a lot. I'm sure that you paid for this on the backs of content creators like me, that you take 30% of the super chat revenue, 30% of the membership revenue, and 70% of the advertising revenue that occurs on my channel and everybody else's. So you're welcome. Congratulations on buying this 5-day-old cow pie called the Oscars. But if you really think this is an essential cultural institution, I mean, the 1980s called, bro. They want their nostalgia back. The Oscars has not been in the vast majority of the American zeitgeist for decades. But hey, I know what YouTube wants to do, and the bottom line is this: Disney has money, right? Disney has money, but Google has all the monies. And that's what this was. This was, as we talked, a couple of weeks ago about the Warner Brothers situation. I can't even imagine how bad of a dick whipping contest this was. Because you got Dana Walden and Bob Iger and Disney and ABC, who again, between Disney and pre-Disney ABC, have had this for 50 years, 5 decades, from 1976 until now. Trying to come in probably with their biggest offer they could. And, YouTube, Google walks in the door and slaps down an elephant trunk on that table that would make John Holmes jealous. YouTube, I bet, offered probably some outrageous amount of money, something stupid for this. But what this is really about, this is about Google and YouTube making a statement that they are here to win. They're not here to play the game and be part of the let's do television like everybody else. They are here to just buy everybody out. And I'm telling you right now, if there was another major NFL contract like the one for, say, Paramount, CBS with the AFC, or Fox when that comes up for the NFC, let me tell you what, when those two major NFL contracts renew the next time they come around in the next few years, we have not begun to see a bloodbath like we're probably likely to see with that. And remember right now, Google, YouTube already won the bid and has possession of the NFL Sunday ticket. Google has a lot of money, and they have a lot more money than even Netflix does for this kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how that really works out. I don't know. And I'm sorry, I thought I had the Thought I had my phone turned off here. I did. It was on silent. If it's, you put your phone on silent and then it rings anyway. I love that one. Do not disturb. Okay. Let's see. We have a bit of a. It's not so bad, Disney. Look, if I was running Disney and I lost the Oscars and I didn't have to pay for that anymore, I'd be thrilled. I don't care what anybody says. I understand why people like Disney and Bob Iger want it. It's the prestige. They almost, to an extent, I don't think they care what they pay for it. It's the prestige. It's the clout and power that they then hold over the industry in that regard, at least socially speaking. But if it were me, whatever. It's a complete loser, like Jimmy Kimmel. While on the surface, the move appears to be a blow for ABC, whose exclusive negotiating window expired earlier this year, insiders suggest that it's a relief. Deadline understands that the amount of money that the Academy was looking for and the amount that YouTube was willing to pay didn't make sense for Disney, which has modernized the event, but has faced challenges given the nature of the types of films that generally make up Oscar winners. Okay, so I would love to know which Disney insiders are saying this, because I'm telling you right now, if I had to lay money on this, it's not the fruity pooty creatives that Bob Iger has working over there that can't create anything anymore. Those are the very people that rely on the complete vacuous nature and the stupidity of the Oscars to receive accolades and adulations that they otherwise would never deserve. It's the bean counters. I promise you, right? Somebody in the accounting office, somebody at DAS or Disney Advertising Sales. It's the bean counters and the salesmen and the number crunchers at Disney, I promise you, that are probably jumping up and down thrilled about this, because they know the Oscars is hot trash when it comes. It's just a money pit. And Disney's pit that they can draw the money from, the Scrooge McDuck money bin, the Scrooge McDuck money bin they need to throw it into the pit, that thing is shrunk. That thing's damn near empty. If the parks were firing on all cylinders and everything was right and they weren't losing billions of dollars at the box office as they've had in the past several years, maybe it's a different story. But if I had to guess, I hope the number leaks. I want to know what this number is, because I guarantee you this 5-year contract is stupid. The Oscars seems like the type of organization that fancies themselves in the same league as professional sports when it comes to prowess and interest. And it's like nothing could be further from the truth. Most of the country, basically anything in between California and the Northeast coast, the viewership for the Oscars each and every year in this country is basically nothing. It's so localized in a couple of 3 or 4 big cities, and that's it. Nobody cares. So I hope YouTube paid through the nose for this. Now, that being said, clearly YouTube has the ability to have that program, quite frankly, reach a much wider audience more rapidly and more easily than Disney does with ABC. Even though they probably, it's available on cable, it's available over the air, it's available on Hulu and streaming. Everybody around the world is on YouTube. Everybody's going to see the advertisement on YouTube to go watch the Oscars. YouTube probably, honestly, for what the Academy wants, may be the only entity out there that can actually justify the expense of licensing and getting rights to broadcast based on the potential amount of revenue for advertising that YouTube and YouTube alone could generate to support such an expense for Google. Disney can't do it anymore. And that ought to tell you everything. But this is probably another reason why Didn't we hear this recently that wasn't there a rumor not long ago that Kathleen Kennedy was trying to set up something for Bob Iger at the Academy Awards this year or something along those lines, or Bob Iger was going to be kind of doing the lifetime achievement thing since he's going to be retiring. Well, here you go. I mean, the 2026, the Oscars this year, 2026, and then you got 27, and that's it. So it's 26 or 27. It'll be on ABC, and that's it. So, or maybe Iger will be on there on the final broadcast, the 100th. That's probably where he'll do it. You'll see Bob Iger get the Lifetime Achievement Award on the 100th Academy Awards in January of 27, because then in January or February, whenever they have the damn award show, I don't even remember. The next Oscars in 28 will be on YouTube. That's a big change. Big old change. Holy crap. Speaking of big old, I didn't even see this. I saw red. Snarky. Dude, thank you for $300 for the car fund. Thank you for the way you addressed my previous super chat. Glad she's okay. Yep. And I still have this cough. Y'all heard me Sunday. Struggling to get through this thing. My throat's just real dry now, but it's good. I hope, look, Snarky, first of all, thank you for the $300 frickin' super chat. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, look, you know how insurance is. And in Louisiana, I found out with the car insurance, because it's funny. I mean, I'm licensed to do car insurance as a producer. I don't write car insurance. The only policy I've ever written in the last probably 20 years has been a couple of policies for friends. I keep it as kind of I've had the license a long time. I don't write it. Meaning to say that even though I'm licensed to do it, I really don't know a whole lot about it. At least the specifics of how the law works in Louisiana. I find out that, oh yeah, they don't have to give you anything beyond actual cash value. So if they say, the Kelley Blue Book says your 2020 Hyundai Elantra, my daughter's car, that had 100,000 miles on it is worth $8. But to go buy another 2020 Elantra, not exactly replacing it. Like, I'm not replacing it with a brand new Elantra. But if I were to go find another 2020 Elantra with 100,000 miles on it, and I looked it up, it cost about $13,000, which is about what I paid for the one she had until yesterday. And that was 2 years ago. So I don't know what they're going to come at me with. Probably more likely than not, I'm going to be coming out of pocket for at least a portion of this. I hope not. But yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you. That's incredible. I hope I did answer your question though, because I was trying to understand what you were asking, Snarky, on that one. If you were trying to refi or not. If you can refi and reduce it by 50 basis points because you have you can do like a VA loan or something. Well, shoot, yeah. Okay, pop some equity out while you're at it. I mean, the only thing you have to contend with is maybe some closing costs. Otherwise, I mean, if you're going to go for, I have clients that have home mortgage rates that like 2.5% for 30 years, 2.75% for 30 years. I gotta basically slap them when they tell me they want to pay extra every month just so they can pay it off early. I'm like, dude, why? It's free money. And they don't want to refi right now because they go to 6%. I'm like, well, then don't do it. It's like, give me money to me. We'll go stick it in the IRA. We'll go stick it in the investment account and go make some money on stuff, So anyway, I hope that answered it. Thank you, Snarky. Let me give you something for that one here. I need to go back through this list because I wish they would let me load more stuff in StreamYard, and they don't. Oh, that was a funny one. I haven't played that one in a while. Good Lord. All right. Thank you so much, Snarky, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Always so generous, dude. That's crazy, man. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let me, in fact, let me back up now that we've finished covering that story here with the Oscar shock. And then we got a few more to get to because I want to talk about, well, I do want to say a few things about Rob Reiner. It's a freaking tragic story, and I've been trying to play catch up on this. When did this? Was it Sunday morning? No, it was Monday morning. Monday morning, I saw that, and I was on the road to a client's house. I was driving out to Mississippi to go meet some clients Monday, and saw that. And then it looks like his son has been arrested. So I'm like, oh, this is crazy. It's terrible. If this is what it looks like, I mean, is it looks like from what a little bit I'm playing catch up here live tonight on the show with you guys with that story. God knows I didn't have much, I didn't have I didn't agree with Rob Reiner on a lot of stuff, politically and whatnot, but that man didn't deserve anything like that. It's kind of silly. You got to say that these days, well, this person and I didn't really get along on this, but everybody always wants to overread stuff in the chat. You get one cuckoo out there that, oh, Valiant, loved Rob Reiner and they did all this politics and he hates Donald Trump. And people are weird these days about this kind of stuff. But Rob Reiner, bottom line, was just one of the absolute best filmmakers in Hollywood for decades. Guy made some absolutely amazing products. There we go. YouTube freaking out on me again. All right, let me get to some of these super chats here, kind of going back. Tennessee tornado first. Jared Kushner pulls out, and Bongino is pulling out. Did Trump have the talk with everyone in his inner circle? Very well may have. Was Dan Bongino? How was Dan Bongino wasn't involved in? How was Bongino involved in this? Were you talking about with Warner Brothers or just in general? Like I know Bongino was talking about leaving. I hadn't seen anything about Dan Bongino related to Warner Brothers. We've got a story related to some requests about Pam Bondi that I was going to get to when we get to the Warner Brothers topic. DBZZ now for $10 beyond just the debt ratio. The financial safety net of Paramount's offer is simply untenable by anyone that wants a future combined company with any staying power. Well, part of the issue was the financial safety net of Paramount's offer. That was some of the question that Warner Brothers had, right? We addressed that in the video that we released earlier today. Because Warner Brothers looked at the tender offer and said that they didn't feel like it really suggested that Larry Ellison's, the full weight, financial weight of Larry Ellison was fully engaged in the deal. Marcus for 10. Not as much as I wish I could give, but put this towards the new car. Oh, dude, thank you. Thank you. Glad your daughter is okay. Hopefully Leo cited the other driver as it can help with insurance. They did. Oh, it was totally the other driver's fault. There was a police officer that happened to be driving by right after it happened. The other driver, I wasn't there when this happened, but the other driver was still there. The other driver apparently got out, admitted fault. And then there was a third-party witness that wasn't a driver and wasn't a cop that witnessed the accident, stopped, and gave a witness statement to the police. So that's a done deal. It ain't no deliberating this one. So, and again, you could also tell by the physical damage on the car exactly where the impact was. I mean, the front quarter panel, like right behind the fender, was pushed from the back and curled inward. And I took as soon as I saw that, I was like, you could see exactly how that van hit. It's like, okay, there's no way that came scraping up the side and then got curled inward if my daughter had gone like if it had been reversed, the way that impact was. It was. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. It's a moot point because the guy admitted fault, and the police, I think, said as much. I'm waiting for the report to get published. I've got the report number, the little pad they give you when they do the actual report itself. Probably have it next week. It might not even be before Christmas because everything slows down to a crawl this time of year. Bass player says for 5, you mentioned in your video that HBO could potentially be spun off. Would they still own the library in that case, or would the library go to... No, the content, the IPs, the content goes to Netflix. HBO itself is, and I may have spoken incorrectly if I said that. I mean, what's going in the linear spinoff is TNT, Discovery Networks, CNN, stuff like HBO and HBO Max are going to be coalesced. So the question becomes, does Netflix keep the linear HBO? I mean, they're going to have to for the time being because of the carriage deals that HBO would have already signed with Comcast and Spectrum and so on and so forth. Down the road, they may just, 5-10 years from now, there might not be an HBO anymore, at least in terms of linear carriage. But no, those that all goes. That all goes with them. So no, when you buy the studio, think about this. Netflix is going to own Friends. I mean, because that was a show that was made by Warner Brothers, broadcast and licensed by NBC, right? But it's Warner Brothers still owns the intellectual property for Friends, and then others like that. Paramount has a lot of those kind of shows too. Thundercats Litterbox for 5, wondering if Ted Sarandon was diddled in a movie theater, as he seems hell-bent on seeing their demise. Oh, you mean, okay, I know what you mean. Ted Sarandos. Okay, yeah, Sarandos of Netflix. I ain't touching that one. Thank you for the 5, though. Glade Ribbon for 10. Netflix has the Gabe Newell Valve Steam defense they can use to the feds. It's not their fault the competition sucks. They aren't doing anything to prevent them from succeeding. You're not wrong there. Marcus says for 10, it would be interesting to hear from NATO, which I think it's now called, is it Cinema United? I keep forgetting the new name of it. They changed it from NATO because of that very night. Yeah, the Theater Association, not frickin' Europe. Yeah, it's now, I think it's called Cinema United now. Interesting to hear from them on what or how they would wish Warner Brothers sale to play out. If they could pick, they wouldn't want it sold, period. If only to express their thoughts and fears on how this will affect their business. Again, a couple of things. They would prefer, A, not to be sold. B, as I've been saying, doesn't matter. This is happening. Come to peace with it. Pick a side. Okay? And I think they have, to some extent, I think, in the most legally judicious and simple way they can. And it's by saying that they have a lot of concerns about Netflix not wanting to use theatrical. You got to read between the lines. And the reason that they're not going, hard in the paint, saying Netflix, F Netflix and all this kind of stuff, is because they're also very cognizant of the fact that Netflix might be their new partner in 2 years if they're successful with Warner Brothers. There's no sense in pissing all up in Netflix's cornflakes right now. They're going to be very reliant on Netflix, and they're going to be in a position where they're going to have to beg Netflix to maintain the theatrical releases on past any type of previously promised arrangements, meaning any contracts that David Zaslav and Warner Brothers signed with filmmakers for theatrical releases prior to the Netflix sale, because Netflix still has to honor those, short of them spending a lot more money to buy them out, which I don't think they'll do. But beyond that, it's up to Netflix, right? They can tell us all day long how they're going to keep honoring theaters and all this, but we don't know what that looks like. What does that mean? 2 weeks? 1 week? 400 screens or 4,000 screens? Which is it? I don't know. Archer Merchant for 5, crazy the whole Paramount Warner Brothers situation request from the Warner Brothers board. Do you think they genuinely want Netflix more, or more thinking another offer will be made. They're waiting for another offer. We'll get there. I'm going to talk about that in just a bit. Hold tight. I want to get to one or two other stories here first. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats. In fact, I'm gonna save that one right there so I can find it again when I get back to it in a little bit. Let me grab this one. $20. You got my boy out there. What's up, dude? For $20. Florida dog. You see, he puts the Florida dog thing. It doesn't say kiss my grits with Florida dog. Disney advertising are doing shots right now. See, this is what I said. I don't know. Did you hear when I said this earlier? I don't know if you were in the chat. When was this from? 5:45? So about 14 minutes ago. I don't remember if I said this. It was at that point or before. Disney advertising, DAS, are doing shots right now, knowing they will soon no longer have to sell ad space for the Oscars, for the antiquated Oscars. They always had to give away so many favors and freebies to get advertisers on board. What kind of favors were they? Were they like the, little Hershey's gift basket favors? Or were they, like the Harvey Weinstein favors? Which favors were they? It's fun. I don't know if you saw this, but I said the same thing. What I said, if you missed it, was that in the article that I still have up on the screen, there was some degree. Let me get down to it. I'm gonna find a line here. Oh shoot, where is it? This right here. This is what I was talking about, KMG. While on the surface, the move appears to be a blow for ABC, insiders suggest it's a relief. And I even said, I tell you right now, it's the bean counters. It's not the creatives out there on Disney right now are probably so sad and so miserable. They are probably on a Zoloft Wellbutrin cocktail right now. They're so depressed. But the bean counters are probably jumping for joy. And I even said Disney ad sales. I said DAS is probably thrilled that they don't have to do this anymore because there's no way they were selling this trash. It's so funny you said that. Oh, perfect timing, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. All right. All right. Let me get back to some of these other stories here because there was a couple other things that I wanted to address here. And I didn't want to go into the somber stuff right away, but where is it? Here we go. I want to do a little box office update because we are not going to see each other again on a live show before this thing comes out. And previews begin tomorrow night. So let's talk about some of the numbers here. Again, a James Cameron picture, Avatar, distributed by the Walt Disney Company. Avatar Fire and Ash to set the world ablaze with $340 to $380 million box office opening. Is that good for Avatar? I know this movie stretches a lot. It's got a lot of legs, but I think it's... I hadn't had a chance to go back and look at what the... I know Avatar legs... I mean, Avatar is not a huge, it doesn't do Avengers Endgame. It doesn't show up with $1 billion globally opening weekend. But it legs out like crazy. So I got to go back and look at the other two. I'm going to pull them up in a minute. I didn't get a chance to before we started the show. Here it is, the final finale, pretty much, of the box office year with 20th Century Studios, James Cameron's threequel, Avatar Fire and Ash. It's expected to be the king of the world, this frame, with a worldwide first weekend of $340 to $380 million, which would be behind the global start of Avatar's, or 2022, The Way of Water, which in like for likes did 444. Okay, so that answers my question. I thought it was a little light. So it's going to be about $100 million potentially global open behind Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Now, Way of Water is only from 3 years ago. And I say only I understand that, it's 3 years, but we've also had a, not insignificant amount of box office inflation and inflation in general since that time. So in theory, I would say that if we were going like for like, butts in seats, then we should be looking at somewhere closer to, say, 540 million at this point, probably about 100 million more than Avatar Fire and Ash or Avatar Way of Water if we were going like for like, butts and seats. Certainly not 100 million less. So put an asterisk there. We'll see how that fares out. And again, both these things released during the pre-Christmas frame. There's no deviation from that standpoint. Both of these things released during the pre-Christmas frame. Okay? Fire and Ash's current global level, that will land it as this year's second best opening for an MPA title after Disney's Zootopia 2, which debuted to $560.3 million last month, and ahead of the Lilo and Stitch, which bowed at $341. So, in theory, if Avatar Fire and Ash comes in at the extreme low end, it could be the third best. It could fall behind both Zootopia 2 and Lilo and Stitch. Now again, Valiant's doom and gloom on Avatar. No, listen. Avatar Fire and Ash, if it's like previous Avatar entries, is going to, say it with me, leg out like crazy. Okay? This is not a movie. The Avatar films are not movies that you can make a judgment call on in the first weekend or even the first 2 weekends, which are already plenty big. But it's not like an MCU title that comes out and then $200 million, $250 million, and then you can say, well, it's going to finish at about 500 to 600. It's going to go more than a 2X. It's going to go more than a 2.5X, talking about Avatar, Fire and Ash. It's probably, like previous Avatar films, still going to go at least 4 and 5X. Now, if it gets out to 5X, we're still looking at a sub $2 billion box office, which, again, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's a bomb, but these are some damn expensive movies. All right? Now, again, like we talked about before, what James Cameron has working in his favor on this film is that all of the technology, the newer tech that they had to build to make the second Avatar film, was used to shoot the third one, and the first act of the fourth one, which Cameron hasn't even determined if he's going to release yet, because they still have to film a significant portion of it. Meaning that the cost for this Avatar Fire and Ash is reportedly cheaper than what we got for The Way of Water, which again makes sense if James Cameron decided to amortize up front all the costs of probably spending $100-200 million just in building custom cameras, custom technology. They spent a ton of money building all this new stuff because James Cameron does what James Cameron does, because James Cameron is James Cameron. That they didn't have to reinvent the wheel for this one. And the same theoretically could be said for at least a significant portion of the fourth film if it comes out. If this movie does $1.5 billion to $2 billion, which I think it easily will, I think $1.5 billion would be the floor. If this thing opens up with $350 million, then I think $1.5 billion, given again Avatar's previous track record of legging out, then I think $1.5 billion is there. Is that enough to get Cameron to do the fourth one? I would like to think so. Pardon me, guys. I guess my pipes are wearing out extra hard today. It's finally catching up. I can't get through 2 sentences without holding back a cough. So in any case, this is what we're looking at. The overseas launch estimate for Fire and Ash is in the 250 to 275 Avatar: Way of Water debuted to 310 in like-for-like markets at today's rates. And again, we can put today's rates in quotes because, again, Avatar is so heavily graded towards PLF and IMAX. The bulk of the tickets are going to be in PLF and IMAX and 3D. We're talking about the average ticket price for Avatar, especially in the first week, is probably going to be like $20 a frickin' ticket. And no, I'm not making it up. I'm talking about North America. People don't go see, by and large, Avatar in regular screens. And this has been very well documented with these films. I would not be at all surprised to see that the average ticket price for Avatar, Fire and Ash, comes back at closer to $20 than anything we've ever seen. And the last ones we were talking about was overall averages at $15 for, what was it, Fantastic Four. Average PLF ticket prices were pushing like 16, 17. Avatar is going to be even higher. Avatar's average PLF price is probably going to be north of 20. Sheesh. Realize that Avatar, and here's where they're talking about what I'm talking about, and they're dialing in these numbers. Don't fret. Realize that Way of Water had 9 days of runtime before Christmas, while Fire and Ash has 5, meaning that audiences are bound to wait for the best seats and screens. See, here we go, to see this. Oh God. 3 hour and 17 minute sci-fi epic. Also, the lower global opening weekend compared to The Way of Water stems from 13 years of distance between the original film and the sequel. Currently, domestic pre-sales for Fire and Ash are pacing 30% behind that of Way of Water, which opened at 134, compared with 09's original 77 million. So don't be shocked if Fire and Ash opens to 90 million. Yeesh. I heard 110. Were we not targeting 100 to 110 million domestic opening just a couple of weeks ago? Now you're telling me it's down to 90? In addition, there's more counter-programming competition, at least in North America, than there was during Way of Water's go-round, and all of it's expected to be buoyant among Angel Studios' animated faith-based film, David, Lionsgate Housemaid, and SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I'm surprised SpongeBob SquarePants ain't getting more love than 15 to 20 million, honestly. And that's maybe because of David. I would bet there's gonna be a lot of families taking the kiddos to go see David. Yeah, here we go. It's all about the crazy 6 to 8x year-end multiple. And that's just it. And I'm giving this thing a 5. So I think 1.5 billion should be kind of easy. All right. Okay, good. I'm glad he explains this. This may be why we had some wilder projections earlier. Tracking, says Anthony D'Alessandro. Tracking made the mistake of comparing Way of Water to a Marvel movies. Oh, if I had realized that before, I would have called that out way earlier. Good on. This is D'Alessandro's, right? Yeah, it's him and Nancy Tartaglione. Okay, so tracking was trying to grade the pre-sales of Avatar Way of Water. That was a couple of years ago, to a Marvel film, which we all know is that's the front loading issue. Avatar does not have the front loading. Hence, forecasts on the second Cameron film were lofty at 180 million for its global opening. In the end, the sequel did a fantastic with a 5.1x stateside and a $2.34 billion global haul. See, again, 5.1. I don't think there's a single Marvel film that has ever done 5.1. I don't know if there's a single Marvel film that ever made it to a 4. So if this thing opens up, if Avatar, Fire and Ash opens up with 90 million, and we get a similar rollout from there of about a 5x, that's 450 million. Then it's a matter of what does the rest of the world do? And as I've stated already, I mean, it looks like Zootopia 2 is going to be bigger in China than Avatar will at the end of the day, unless some surprise. Not saying radically higher, but it's probably going to be 100 plus million, maybe 200 million higher. I mean, it's at 500 million in China now. And I think Avatar is projected to open with about 100 million in China. Zootopia 2 opened with what? 250? Some insane, stupid freaking number? Yeah. Fire and Ash is booked at 3,800 screens, comprised of 430 IMAX 3Ds, 1,050 premium or PLFs, premium large formats, 80% of them 3D, and including 175 Dolby screens, 380 D-Box 4D motion auditoriums, 120 Screen X locations. I mean, it's like half of the screens they have are PLFs, and a lot of them are going to be in 3D. So not only are you going to have the premium large format ticket price premium, but you're going to have the 3D premium on top of the PLF. The average ticket prices for this movie on the PLF side are going to be $20. $20 a ticket. This is going to be crazy. If you go, I haven't even looked. Has anybody bought tickets for this? Has anybody bought a 3D IMAX ticket in prime time? Like a 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening show? IMAX 3D. Tell me how much those tickets are. They've got to be retarded. I'm going to look it up. Let's do this together. Let's have some fun. Let's see. Avatar, Fire and Ash. Okay. Let's go. Okay. I guess Fandango doesn't want me to buy a ticket because the screen just... There we go. All right, let's just go. New Orleans. Let's see what we got. Not for David. So stupid. All right, let's go to Friday, December 19th. So full-blown opening day. We're going to go to, okay, Britannia Canal Place. They don't have an IMAX. Let's do... Who's got IMAX anymore? Clearview's got it. Britannia Canal Place, Broad Theater, AMC West Bank. No, that's junk. AMC Elmwood. Where's the Clearview? Here we go. AMC Dine-In Clearview Palace. Okay, this is what I want. Here we go. Premium format, Dolby. Dolby at 2:30. Real 3D at 8 o'clock. Okay, is this IMAX? There's got to be an IMAX one. They have, here is IMAX, 6 p.m. So they have IMAX and they have Dolby 3D. So they don't have 3D in that IMAX. All right, let's just look and see what the IMAX is. 6 p.m. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of walk-up traffic. How much is this ticket? $24. $24.13. Not 3D. IMAX, but not 3D. $24 for Avatar. Oh, no, wait, that was 3D. All right, I saw it as I pulled. It didn't say, oh, I see it down here. I can barely. Okay, so that is IMAX 3, $24. That's what these people are going to go see. Let's look at the Dolby Cinema. I don't know if that makes a difference. 7 p.m. I know it's not as big a screen as IMAX, but they still have the Dolby Cinemas. Let's see what the difference is. See, people are buying this up because these tickets are cheaper. Let's take seat E9. Again, another primetime seat. 26. Shit, it's more expensive than the IMAX. 26. So we have $24 and $26 a ticket. $24 and $26 a ticket. Right now, if you go see on a premium large format screen, that's New Orleans. I mean, it's not, I'm not doing downtown Los Angeles. I'm not doing downtown Manhattan. You want to go look up, I bet they're $35 a piece in places like LA and New York. I bet they're stupid. I bet it's absolutely stupid. I've paid like $20, $21, $22 for an IMAX ticket. But we're getting to 25 and 26 now. Whew. We'll find out Sunday what's going on there. Sunday's show will be interesting because we'll have all that data, and hopefully my throat won't feel like it's being smashed with razor blades. Let me see. Ooh, so many super chats. All right, we get back to these here just a sec. You guys are awesome. All right, now I do want to do a little catch up on this with the Warner Brothers thing, but real quick, I want to. Where did it go? Okay, this is, and again, I hate talking about these kind of topics and situations, but it's Hollywood news, guys. What do I do? This is just awful. This is awful. So, we all learned a couple days ago, Rob Reiner and his wife were both found apparently in their home, allegedly murdered. Not just, Rob passed out of a heart attack no, they were murdered. And now it seems like the prime suspect who has been arrested is their son, Nick Reiner, which is, I don't even know what to say. But here's the update. It looks like his arraignment is getting pushed to 2026, okay, which I guess not much of a terrible surprise at this point, considering we're right up against Christmas and New Year's. Court usually starting to wind down for the year. And I'm sure the legal teams on this one are going to, this is going to be a very high-profile case. Less than 24 hours after being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, Nick Reiner made a very brief and silent court appearance on Wednesday. In the 32-year-old's first stint before a judge, the younger Reiner did not enter a plea. The next scheduled hearing in the tragic matter that has devastated Hollywood is now set for 7th January in Los Angeles. Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Teresa McGonigal, like Professor McGonigal? No, it's not spelt quite the same, but I don't know how else to say it. Judge Teresa McGonigal granted the delay at the request of Reiner's lawyer, Alan Jackson. First of all, and most importantly, this is a devastating tragedy that has befallen the Reiner family. Our hearts go out to the entire Reiner family, Jackson told reporters outside the courthouse after the brief hearing. He added that there are very, very complex and serious issues that are associated with this case, oh boy, that need to be thoroughly but very carefully dealt with and examined and looked at and analyzed. Reiner was arrested by LAPD late on December 14th, just hours after the bodies of his parents were discovered in their Brentwood home. And yes, if the name Brentwood sounds familiar, it's because you've heard us mention the Brentwood area many times on this program over the course of several years. This, of course, is where all the major Hollywood elites live, including guys like Bob Iger and Dana Walden and even Kamala Harris and her husband Doug Emhoff, which is where Dana Walden introduced Kamala and went jogging together in their Brentwood neighborhood. So yeah, this is a very, very snooty Hollywood area. There's probably not a house in Brentwood that costs less than $10 million. I'll put it that way. Reiner was arrested by LAPD on late December 14th, just hours after the bodies of his parents were discovered in their Brentwood home. Both had been stabbed to death. Amid an outpouring of grief and remembrance for the 78-year-old A Few Good Men director. It's one of his, that was his only movie. There's many, many movies. And his 68-year-old wife, the younger Reiner, was jailed in downtown Los Angeles and formally charged by the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office on Tuesday, citing, quote, special circumstances, a sentence-enhancing allegation of personal use of a deadly weapon. DA Nathan Hochman noted that Reiner could face not just life in prison without parole if found guilty, but possibly the death penalty. Hochman said on Tuesday that before coming to any decision about Reiner's fate, he and his office would consult with the family. The DA did not have any comment about today's events in court. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't think we need to go through the video necessarily right here. That's the bulk of it. So I don't know much about California. I thought they were stabbed. Maybe they were shot. The way this, I don't know. California's gun laws are, well, they're stupid. They're stupid. They're unconstitutional. They're nonsensical. But that's for another day. The reason I bring that up is because I don't know a whole lot about the nuances of them and how they're applied, because they don't apply to me. I don't go to California. It's one of the reasons I don't. But this issue of this sentence enhancing allegation, personal use of a deadly weapon. Now, a lot of times in these kind of things, and I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on YouTube. Not really. You get the joke. But a lot of times there will be additional charges or there will be aggravating factors of, say, a homicide in this case, if it was an unlawful use of a firearm, for example. And committing wanton murder, of course, would be an unlawful use of a firearm. But they don't specifically say firearm here. They just say deadly weapon, which, I mean, that could be a bat. That could be a car. That could be... I seem to remember, I thought I read or something about that they were stabbed. I could have misread something. Chat, y'all tell me. Y'all been tracking this one a little bit more than I have, guys and girls? Because I don't remember. My point is this. So what they're suggesting here is that, okay, he committed double homicide, 2 counts of first-degree murder, allegedly, but that there's what I guess is like an aggravating factor that would take that from concurrent or consecutive life sentences to then turning it into a possible death penalty case, which I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know they still had that in California. What's the death penalty in California? Having to go to San Francisco? I don't know. Not trying to make light about the event here. I'm just making light about California's justice system. Because why not? Reiner could face not just life in prison without parole if found guilty, but possibly the death penalty based on a sentence-enhancing allegation, personal use of a deadly weapon. Personal use. How else would you use it? I have a feeling I'm trying to unpack the verbiage that's been chosen by Deadline as opposed to the actual legal verbiage. Personal use of a deadly weapon. That's a little bit of a new one to me. Where's Sean when I need him? Is a felon attorney out there? He knows this shit. Where's Sean? Where the hell's Sean when I need him? I don't see him out there. Oh well. We might, this might be fun to kind of dive the legal side. I'm not talking about the tragedy of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, but it might be fun as a poor choice of words. It will be, I think, it'll be entertaining or I think elucidating to kind of dive into some of this with Ron Coleman, were he here. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about this tomorrow night on the Renegade Nation show. So I don't know. Okay, I don't want to read this on air. This is what I saw. The things I'm pulling up on screen. I don't want to read this on YouTube. Is really, really screwy with the stuff. But yes, these are the allegations that a knife, a bladed weapon was involved. That's what I remember seeing. Stabbed or otherwise. I don't want to be as graphic as saying what happened to them. But that's what I remember seeing. Which is, it's just, that's even more unconscionable than the use of a firearm, because that is far more violent than a firearm. That is far more personal than a firearm. That's just, I mean, to do that to your own parents, I don't know. I mean, now, here's the thing. So this article was more recently updated with, you see here, updated with lawyers' comments, okay? Assuming we're talking about Nick Reiner's lawyer here. But this statement here, he added, there are very, very complex and serious issues that are associated with this case that need to be very thoroughly but carefully dealt with and examined and looked at and analyzed. Okay, so like how many... We just started rattling off everything in the thesaurus there. Okay, what I read is this, again, as a layperson, not a lawyer, is that Nick's attorney, having asked for for a deferral to adjourn until after the new year to come back and do the arraignment at a later date, when there was supposed to be an arraignment today, from what it seems like, right? They were supposed to be arraigned today. Do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest? And apparently his lawyer was, Your Honor, I'm going to file a motion to reconvene this arraignment following the first of the year. I need more time to confer with my client. And the judge granted it. Okay, understand that. We are innocent until proven guilty. I suspect what I feel like is going to happen here is that he wants time to evaluate his client, the son of Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner, to either try to get him adjudicated as being mentally incompetent and unable to stand trial because we're going to do the insanity plea, maybe. Or there's going to be some allegations that he was so overwrought because mom and dad were such evil, terrible, awful, bad people that blah, 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 that he had. I mean, this obviously isn't something as simple as him wanting to say, yes, Your Honor, guilty, no, not guilty. Maybe they're trying to do a plea bargain. Maybe they're trying to make sure that the death penalty gets taken off the table. I don't know. I'm spouting out everything as a layperson I could possibly think of. That's what this is. What I'm telling you is what's going to probably be happening in some form or capacity over the next 2-3 weeks. Okay? That's it. Dude, they're still in prison and they're still trying to get Netflix to make more TV shows about them. The Menendez brothers. Yeah, in prison. Doing prison stuff. Bass player, is this is known? These are facts and evidence, or this is an allegation? Like, or I'm assuming we're talking about Rob Reiner's son here. Does he have an actual documented criminal history of this? I mean, kind of looking at the picture here next to me, I don't know if that surprised me, especially considering, you know, growing up where he grew up. But wouldn't surprise me. But it's just terrible. This is going to be it's probably going to be on television, or it's probably going to be not television. It's probably going to be streaming. There's going to be cameras in the courtroom. LawTube is going to be all over this one for sure. Whenever that trial starts. Now, if they go to arraignment in January, I mean, realistically, I mean, on something like this, we might not see a trial for another year. Who knows? I know these things usually take some time. So, yeah. I don't know. Y'all tell me, what do y'all think on this one? I mean, the police went and got this guy real quick, so it sounds like to me that the way his attorney, I mean, this wasn't just a, hell no, he didn't do this. Y'all got no proof, not guilty. Screw y'all, you know. It sounds like that. Are we going to see an affirmative defense on this one? Yes, Your Honor, my client did it, but, you know, affirmative defense is kind of the thing that, you know, if you're a 2A guy, a concealed handgun guy like me for 25 years, you know the terms affirmative defense. If you were to get charged, you're not going into court to say, no, Your Honor, I didn't kill this person. The answer is yes, Your Honor, I did shoot this individual, but under the laws of self-defense and under the, I met the criteria for self-defense, blah, blah, blah. So yes, I'm guilty of homicide. I'm guilty of killing another person, but, so I'm affirming that I did it, but I did it because under the state statutes of Louisiana, Texas, fill in the blank, I had the right to defend myself because the thresholds of self-defense and the lawful use of self-defense, the lawful use of deadly force were met. If you're that kid from Texas named Carmelo Anthony, you really didn't meet those thresholds. Not the basketball player, the high school kid. It was Texas, right? I'm wondering if that's not what they're thinking about here, because this whole thing about, oh, it's really complex and very, very serious and complex issues that really need to be broken down. It's like, okay, so it's either you did do it or you didn't do it. And if you didn't do it, it's really not that complex. But if you did do it and it's complex, then they're probably going to try to argue reasons why, and maybe at least get a plea, I guess, and try to take some of the more severe penalties off the table. And who knows, maybe, I mean, they had the arraignment set and this attorney just walked in the door last night and had no time to prepare. Your Honor, please, I need more time. Okay. I mean, you don't want to screw this up if you're the judge, right? This is too high profile a case. Make sure that the accused and make sure that their legal counsel have adequate time to prepare and do things the way that they would prefer. I get it. You know, what's another week, 2 weeks at this point, whatever it is. I don't know. This whole story is just crazy when I saw this, man. Just really, really. let me tell you, I first got to know who Rob Reiner was, like most people in my generation growing up, because he was Meathead on All in the Family with Sally Struthers and Carol O'Connor. And I mean, it's one of the greatest television shows that ever existed. Norman Lear's All in the Family. And Rob Reiner basically played a character of really who he was in real life, by all accounts. He was a hardcore, hippie, liberal, hippy-dippy dude. But mostly, a big lib compared to Archie Bunker's kind of like classic, over-the-top, just, I don't want to say conservative, but just old school. What do they call him? America's lovable bigot. Something like that. It was a perfect description. But it was just such a fun and funny show. And I mean, then he became a filmmaker and made some of the best and most brilliant films out there, and was involved with many, many others. And then this summer, I mean, and I still didn't get a chance to see it. They just came back. He did the Spinal Tap 2 movie. He brought those guys back for that. So, I mean, look, Rob Reiner has one of the most storied and amazing histories in Hollywood, and he will be remembered as one of the most prolific and probably one of the best filmmakers that Hollywood ever had. I have no doubt in my mind about that. And it's tragic to see it in like this. And I can't even imagine if he even knew before it happened. Like, and the details are going to come out, and they're probably going to be horrific. But did his son look him in the eye when he did this to him? To his own father? To his own mother? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances or the specifics. Were they asleep in their bed? Were they awake? Did they wake up and see what was going on as it was? I mean, I can't even imagine. It's one thing some random burglar breaks into your home or something like this, but then it's somebody and it's your own son. Allegedly. Man. That's gonna be a rough one. I'm sure I have some very, very competent and good friends, legal friends out there in YouTube that will be diving into this story and talking about it as things progress. So we'll keep you posted as they do. And yeah, I know I had talked a little bit about Paramount here before we close out again. Let me get back to that one, Archer. I read that one before. Bass player says for 5, Neil wants to be a producer and is using YouTube as a springboard, pure and simple. He's going to ruin YouTube to do it, even though YouTube doesn't make a cent. Yeah. Talking about the CEO of YouTube. Yeah. I think he fancies himself kind of the next Hollywood mogul. And this is why I think individual content creators like us have been gradually suffering a little bit more year by year. I mean, with the exception of things like the ASMR content where you can just turn on an hour of, like today, I like having this on in the background, and I've probably watched a lot of these videos a million times. I love watching blacksmith stuff. I love watching old Japanese blacksmith masters make swords and knives. Some of these things, 20 million views on these things, right? Meanwhile, I think views for a lot of people in our space that cover news or pop culture, or not even that, some people that just cover other things, like I think I mentioned Donut Operator the other day. Brandon Herrera is another one. You go back and look at the views they were getting a year ago, 2 years ago, and compare them to the average views they're getting now. Everybody has seen a sharp drop that I've encountered. Everybody has. YouTube is not working the way it used to. And that's whether you're talking about what we talk about, whether you're talking about, you know, things like I said, like Donut Operator Brandon Herrera, which is all about covering real crime analysis and guns. I mean, it's all over the map, and I'm seeing the same thing from one to the next. Well, I'm going to get back to that one, Archer. Let me get into the story, and then I'm going to grab that one. Marcus for 5, have you considered cars from the 70s and 80s for the kids that could take on a loaded coal train and just need a hammer to fix the bumper? Just saying. Dude, I don't disagree with you, but let me tell you what. This is the problem, Marcus. I live in Louisiana. We have by far and away the worst car insurance rates on earth. It's not even close. And the reason is because we have so many retarded assholes down here that shouldn't be driving, don't carry insurance, and then we probably have the most lawyers per capita who sue for ungodly amounts of money for the most minor things and get awarded a lot of times, you know, and we're not talking about like fender bender stuff by comparison to what happened with my kid the other day, which wasn't exactly a fender bender. Don't get me wrong. I'm being facetious on that. But I'm talking about compared to, you know, an illegal Indian with a California CDL that murders 3 people on the interstate because he was taking a U-turn in the middle of I-10 like it was a shithole in New Delhi. You know, that kind of thing. That's an accident. That's a major one. Well, we have too much of that here. So the problem is our insurance rates are outrageous. It's actually cheaper for me. So like if I went and I bought, give you an example. Okay, let's say I spent $10,000 on a car that was made 10 years ago. Got 100,000 miles on. That's what you'd buy a kid, right? I get it. It doesn't have any of the modern safety features on it. Remember, we're talking about an 18-year-old driver. Doesn't have the lane assist, doesn't have the automatic braking with the cameras in the front. That, oh, collision alert, slam the car. I can spend $20,000 on a new car, $22,000 on a new car, and the insurance will be significantly cheaper to the point where it makes up the difference between the price of the old and the new car on a note. Stupid. When I tell you stupid down here in Louisiana, we're the epitome of stupid. So yeah, I'm actually looking at trying to find something more like what she had that at least has those modernized safety features, which means I'm going to pay more for the car because it's going to drop my insurance rates. When I replaced my vehicle earlier this year, okay, I've thought my insurance rates is about to go up because I'm about to have, you know, a newer car, which means more coverage to cover the higher cost of the car, comp collision. My insurance rates went down by like $100 a month. And it was because of all the new modern safety features on it. So I'm like, yeah, stupid in Louisiana. Jim Butler for 2. Rest in peace, Gil Gerard. Gil Gerard. I have seen this. Wait, why am I having issues with this name today? I've had too much going on the last couple of days. Seen somebody else mention this. Who is that? Why do I know this name? I feel like an idiot when I pull this up. What was he in? Oh, Buck Rogers, of course. I'm like, wait a minute. Buck Rogers was a little bit before my time. My dad liked that show. He used to watch it, and he was older. I think, when did Buck Rogers come out? Wasn't that Buck Rogers, the TV show? That was in the 70s? When was that? Y'all tell me in the chat, what years was Buck Rogers on TV? I know the character, the name Buck Rogers. Like I said, my dad loved all that stuff. But that was a little bit before my time to where I wasn't really in it. 79. Okay, 79. Okay, so I was born in 79. So that's why. By the time that I by the time that I would have remembering what I was watching on TV, it was like 84. So it was a little bit before, but I remember Buck Rogers. I know I've seen several of the shows because I remember my dad used to, but I remember the actor's name. I didn't, because it was never one of those things like, oh, I grew up with Buck Rogers. But yeah, that's a shame. But that man had a good life. Looks like he was 82 years old. Little Rock, Arkansas. How about that? Yeah, indeed. Then another sci-fi type legend. These guys. John Maynard says, a member for 23 months. I was in an accident myself where the driver had missed a call. He stop sign, and I'm glad he was going as fast as he was, or the F-350 would have hit me. Oh, geez. Yeah. I think this guy was door dashing because I don't know if I told this part earlier, but when I got there later, my daughter told me that a woman pulled up after the accident that and my daughter told me it's like, oh, it was his wife. She seemed very adamant, like she knew, like he must have said something. The wife pulled up, and normally you think, oh my God, are you okay? And all this. She was there for just a couple of seconds. She pulled up, took a bag of Firehouse Sub sandwiches out of the wrecked vehicle, the one that wrecked my daughter's car, and then took off with the sandwiches. I'm not kidding. So when I tell you the dude was door dashing or probably doing Uber Eats or something like that, my daughter didn't tell me that till after we left, and I was like, son of a bitch. So he was probably looking at his phone, and his GPS was telling him, turn here, go here, there. He was trying to find a delivery address, and he wasn't paying attention to the road, and he just, this is not where I have to go next. And he just, without looking, at 45 miles an hour, just he failed to yield. My daughter was in possession of that lane right next to him. He didn't look, ripped her car apart. Like, you tell your kids, drive, head on a swivel, but there's nothing you can do about stuff like that. There's no reaction at all you can have. You're getting hit because it's right there next to you. There's nowhere to go. And I'm glad. I mean, she said, I was trying to swerve to avoid it, but there was nowhere to go. So I told her in the past, like, don't swerve. Never swerve to avoid an accident unless you are 1,000% certain that there's nobody else coming up around you. Because if you swerve to avoid an accident, somebody hitting you, and you successfully avoid it, but in the process, you smash into somebody else, guess who's getting the ticket? Guess who's going to be at fault? Yo ass is going to be at fault. So sometimes it's better to just not swerve unless you're 1,000% sure, or unless you're looking at, I'm going to die because it's an 18-wheeler coming at me, right? But for more moderate to minor stuff, I'm of the mindset, like, I'll take the hit because I want to make sure if I'm not at fault, I got a dash cam. If I'm not at fault, I'm not going to be at fault. And that's it. Because a lot of times you don't have time to go, oh, shit, this guy's going to hit me in half a second. Let me look over here and see if anybody's coming. You don't have time to really look. And people just reflexively swerve. And I can show you a million different dash cam footages of people swerving to avoid accidents, and then they create one themselves. So I'm glad she didn't do that. It sucks about her car, but it could have been worse. She could have swerved. She could have hit somebody else. The other guy could have gotten off clean, scot-free, would have kept going. And then my daughter would have been at fault with the destroyed car. Could have been worse. Marcus for 10. Beep. So long, Buck. Oh, I see. Gil Gerard. Yeah, I should have read ahead. Then it would have hit me with the Buck right there. That's Buck. Oh, Buck Rogers. That's who that is. Okay. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for the tenner. Bad News Badger for 100 Danish krona. What reach have copyright anyway? What happens if someone just makes a Marvel movie from not US and just say go fuck yourself when sued. There are other ways to publish your movies. Are we talking about Badger? Are we talking about the AI thing? Or just copyright in general? You got to remember, I mean, okay. If somebody does it in China, no, there's not much we can do. China's the exception. But if somebody does it in Britain, if somebody does it in the UK, if somebody does it anywhere in the EU, most of these studios have business relationships or presences in those major international territories and countries. So, no, the copyright basically, I mean, in most of these kind of places extends. And they have their own copyright law, but I mean, look, if it didn't, we'd see, anybody sitting in a flat in downtown Birmingham in the UK could make a Marvel TV show and a cartoon and then tell Disney, nah, it doesn't work that way. China doesn't care. No, you're not going to fight anything that happens in China. But yeah, there are other ways to publish your movies rather than the movie theater. Sure. Where are they going to publish it? YouTube? Guess what YouTube's going to do? Disney's going to file a copyright claim. YouTube's going to take it down. Same thing with Kick, Twitch, whatever other. Disney will go after the social media platforms no matter where they are. And so would Warner Brothers. So would Paramount, so on and so forth. That's not going to change. Badger for 50 Danish krone. Follow-up, AI will soon be at a level where you can do such a thing from your basement if you have some basic know-how. It's there now, almost, and this is why Disney is partnering up. We covered this story the other day. This is why Disney is getting in bed with Sora and OpenAI, because they will be able to control. That'll be the only place where Disney will allow their block of characters, their IPs, to be utilized and manipulated by end users in AI, but with licensing and with control, okay? And with stipulations and agreements. They've already gone after things like Midjourney and some of these other ones. And I promise you, the other big guys out there, Google and everybody else, is going to be next. And we talked about this previously. You go after AI companies like Midjourney because they're comparably very small versus, say, Grok and Elon Musk and XAI or Google's AI and all this other kind of stuff. You get the win against the smaller company that has a harder time defending it and nowhere near as deep a pocket. Once you have that ruling, then it's a lot easier just to go back and sue everybody else to stop because you now have case precedent. So it won't, I mean, somebody can do it, but they're going to have a hard time distributing it. And then if they do, they could get hauled into court. They could get sued by a Disney or somebody else. And then they don't have the money to fight it. What's going to happen is there's going to be an entire year's worth of legislative sessions at some point in the not too distant future that is going to be overwhelmingly dedicated to regulating AI. And it's something that's probably going to be revisited every damn year. Packing protons for 5, get the daughter an unbreakable Tesla truck. She's not getting a $70,000 vehicle. That wasn't the car you had to rebuild an engine for a year ago, was it? Yes, it was. Thank you, Packing Protons, for remembering that. Yes, that is the same car that I bought in January of 2024 for her. Had 70,000 miles on it or some damn thing. And 6 months later, this Hyundai engine threw a rod at 75,000 or 80,000 miles, destroyed the engine, and I had to spend $6,000 to put a not new engine. It was an engine that had like 35,000 miles on it. To put that engine, put a new engine in that car. And now the car is destroyed. Roughly 15 months later. No shit. Again, when I tell you this happened, this is the kind of shit that happens to me every year at Christmas. I ain't lying. And it ain't the only thing going on. Dumb Old Bear for 5 British pounds sterling. VR, did you see the December 11th Arrows and Emissions targeting proxy advisors? Executive order targeting proxy advisors? Do you think this forces Disney to sue Glass Lewis ISS for brand damage caused by DEI? Do you think this... First of all, I have not seen the executive order, so I'll have to go look this one up. Targeting proxy advisors. Talking about, because that can mean a lot of things. I have to go look at the order. So, do you think this forces Disney to sue Glass Lewis IS for brand damage caused by DEI? Why? I don't remember. I haven't gone that far back. Are you saying that Glass Lewis and ISS are the activist investors, right? Because they own Disney stock and some of their hedge funds and their mutual funds that advised Disney to engage in DEI practices that caused brand damage, and therefore Disney... I don't think so. Here's the thing. I don't know the executive order, but I know there is such a thing constitutionally as called no ex post facto law. And being that you're sending this in from the UK, I don't know if y'all have something similar. So constitutionally in the United States, legislatures, all of them, are prohibited from passing ex post facto, meaning you cannot pass a law that is after the fact of an incident. And it's designed to say that, okay, somebody did something, lawmakers didn't like it, so then they pass a law that then takes place retroactively back to a certain date in order to prosecute someone, as an example, that at the time they did an action did not commit a violation of law. Okay? So, in other words, an executive order, they're saying, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other thing. If you're asking me if Disney could go back and sue an advisor for giving them advice, you could say, oh, it was bad advice, but was it a crime? They gave them bad advice 10 years ago? No, I would think not. I mean, not based on that executive order. I wouldn't think. But again, I haven't seen it. Snarky says for 5, I don't recall, but second Friday of January 26th, I'm moving to second shift, 1:48 to 10:18. Live shows will be more difficult to attend. I will miss this. Damn. Well, dude, I'm glad you're here while you can be. I mean, look. We'll be around. We'll be doing things. So that's 1:48. I forget what time zone you're in. 1:48 what in the afternoon to 10:18 in the evening. So is that Eastern Central? I don't remember where you're at. I'm trying to remember, Snarky. Recall if I told you. I know I got you. Thank you. No, I don't remember you telling me that before, but you know, we might try some new things in the new year. We'll see. I haven't decided everything yet. Marcus for 5, I think the phrase you were looking for was, quote, interesting mental exercise. Ah, yes, that would be it. In dealing with California's stupid laws. There's so many of them. Packing Proton says for 5, in the school gun press conference, glasses guy is Proctor. Top cop is Harris. The gray-haired dude is Captain Lassard, but Police Academy was funnier. Are you talking about what at Brown University? The thing that happened at Brown? Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Snarky says for 10, Alan Ivanov got 4 firearm enhancements for deleting 3 or nearly 4 at a house party. He'll never get out for 260-month enhancements. He did a plea to avoid the death penalty in Washington. Okay. So there you go. See, and that's firearm enhancements, though. But the verbiage in the Deadline piece, about Reiner was, what was it? Personal use of a deadly weapon. I'm like, honestly, what in the flaming is that? What does that even mean? Personal use of a deadly weapon. Like, what? The verbiage to me is very bizarre. Like, how else would one use a deadly weapon if not personally? Like, I took a knife and I taped it to the front of the car, and the car had a self-driving mechanism, and it drove itself into my wife again and again. Like, what are we talking? What is the personal use? I mean, again, usually you have an aggravating factor like you're talking about here, right? This is what Snarky's saying is what we would typically refer to down here as an aggravating factor, where you would, you killed somebody, but you did it with a firearm, right? So it's like, it's bad enough that you murdered somebody, but the fact that you then used a firearm in an unlawful manner is an enhancement. It's an aggravating factor, right? So that makes sense. But that's what I'm assuming. I think the verbiage that they're talking about seems like maybe that's what they... But again, that wasn't a quote. That was Deadline wrote those words. And I don't know if that's something that's actually in California law. And maybe it's here too in Louisiana. I've never heard of it. Or it's just Deadline not understanding how to address whatever that was. He had a knife, it looks like. If the description of what happened is accurate, he had a knife, or he could have taken he could have gone in the bathroom and gotten his dad's, shaving straight razor and done. I don't know. It's just the way it was worded was really, really weird. Staccato says for 10, should like to see a plea deal for life imprisonment, no bail. I'm guessing that's what they're... I mean, the fact they're saying, and again, I'll go back to this, and I didn't expect to be caught off guard with the particulars in this article on this, because this is, they talk about this. They're very, very complex and serious issues, da-da-da-da-da-da. A sentence enhancing, allegation of personal use of a deadly weapon. I mean, generally speaking, when an individual is murdered, it's typically with some form of deadly weapon. I mean, apart from using your hands and feet and choking somebody out or something. A car is legally often considered a deadly weapon. So, I mean, personal use of I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm not a criminal lawyer, but I've never seen that phrase used before to describe an enhancement or an aggravating circumstance in a violent crime case. So yeah, I mean, again, if that's what's noted, that Reiner could face not just life, but possibly the death penalty. Now, I don't know if that's because of the special circumstances with this personal use of a deadly weapon. Now, again, like I said, if he went in there and if he committed the offense, not only unlawful possession of a handgun or a rifle or whatever, but had gone out and bought on the black market a fully automatic Draco, and he was in possession of a fully automatic weapon that he then mowed his parents down with. I can understand that as what they're describing here, but a knife? I don't know how it works in California. Maybe I'm just stupid. If Ron was here, he's like, you're stupid. Who knows? All right, let me go back to these two because Archer asked about this earlier, and I want to kind of wrap it up here. Crazy, the whole Paramount Warner Brothers situation. Request from the Warner Brothers board. Do you think they genuinely want Netflix or more thinking about another offer being made? I think they want more from Paramount. It's like I've been saying, the magic number is 34. $34. If Paramount walks in there with $34 and a little bit more robust guarantee about daddy's money being involved, because there was some concern that the way it was worded, that it seemed a little bit more. We explained it in the video today. If you go back, if you have not watched the video from this morning, we talk about all the Warner Brothers stuff, and basically everything that happened today, okay, is what's in that. Nothing really has really changed. In fact, this is what we talked about. We said in the video this morning that this was going to happen right here. This was coming, and it did. Matter of fact, it came out a few hours after we released the video. Said, look, this is what's going to happen. Bloomberg is saying this is what's coming. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Here it is. Okay. And then to your other question, also say Paramount does win. Are they gambling those 15 movies or so a year will be billion-dollar grossers over the next decade, year over year? I mean, they're going to keep the release schedule. It behooves Paramount to keep it because Paramount itself is a film studio in the theatrical exhibition business that also enjoys a very, very robust television studio system. So, I mean, yes, I mean, I think Paramount is. Here's the thing: Netflix doesn't release them; they have to rely on subscription fees. Now, remember, here's the other thing. And it makes me think of kind of addressing this as well. So earlier I said probably there's a great deal of duplicative subscribers on both HBO Max and Netflix. How additive is the subscriber base going to be to Netflix? Right? How additive is the HBO Max subscribership going to be to Netflix, short of Netflix simply absorbing all the subscribers? And out of 120 million of them, maybe 100 million of them are already Netflix subscribers. Are they going to keep the two subscription service separate? At first, maybe yes. But it will not be long before Netflix coalesces it all into one. Because why would Netflix want to continue to bear the burden of an entirely separate secondary and itself a duplicative system to that of Netflix's, and all of the massive costs associated with the technological maintenance of such a service? They're going to combine it into Netflix, just like Disney Plus did with Disney Plus and Hulu. Okay? In the case of Paramount Plus, however, I bet I don't have the numbers, and there's no way for us to know. These numbers aren't out there, okay? But I'd be willing to bet a good bit of money that the number of people that have Paramount Plus and HBO Max, that crossover, those duplicate subscribers, are probably far fewer, both in number and percentage, than they are between Warner Brothers and Netflix. Meaning that Paramount would probably see a far greater degree of value additive nature of bringing in HBO Max to Paramount Plus rather than Netflix bringing in HBO Max to Netflix. I think that's where it is. And I mean, look at Paramount Plus right now. I think their premium tier is $6-7 a month, $8 a month cheaper than HBO Max's premium tier. So again, there's more room to kind of coalesce those and then make the whole thing $20 a month, like it is right now on HBO Max if you have the premium tier. There's an easy argument that could be made that everybody's prices basically would stay the same. I mean, it wouldn't go much. It'd be the same as what you're paying now for HBO Max. And then you'd have everything combined. Whereas Netflix, again, probably a lot more subscribers that have both already. And if you're paying $20 a month over here and $20 a month over there, what's Netflix going to do? Probably jack the price up to $30 a month. I don't know. It's going to be more expensive than either of the two services alone, is what I mean by that today. I don't know. I see a lot more downside I'll put it this way. Forget the money side for a second. I see a lot more downside for the broad market consumer with the Netflix deal versus the Paramount deal. And maybe I'm being selfish saying that, but I don't care. I've given you all the money angles. There's no question that Netflix by itself is in a better financial position than Paramount. Nobody is making a claim otherwise. And nobody should. And I mean, yeah, there's Daddy Ellison's money and all that, but we're talking about the entity itself. We're talking about Paramount itself versus Netflix itself. No question, Netflix is in a much greater position of strength financially than is Paramount. I would still take Paramount in a heartbeat over Netflix every day and twice on Sunday when it comes to who owns Warner Brothers. Because to me, I look at Netflix as a risk. And for those of you who are big physical media fans like me, all that amazing library of physical media that Warner Brothers has been producing for years, you can kiss that shit goodbye. Because by 2030, it'll all be 100% gone. Netflix will kill physical media and they will kill theaters if they can help it. That's the one part of Netflix that I abhor. And I've made no bones about that either. I have a lot of respect for financially what Netflix has done, what Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters have done to build that into what it is and to take it to the heights it has been as a television service. It's a TV station. That's all Netflix is. It is a damn television station. It's a big one, but it's a TV station. It's not a freaking replacement for theatrical exhibition. And it should never be. And that's why I don't want any major Hollywood studios getting gobbled up by it, because that is absolutely what Netflix will do, because that is what Netflix is. Its nature is to be a television station, not the silver screen. Staccato for 10 should have been life without parole, not a drawn-out trial. Yep. But if that's, I mean, I don't know what the plea deal is going to be, if they're even going to do one. See, that's my concern, Staccato, is that if the lawyer's coming in and having the judge postpone the arraignment until after New Year's, and he's making comments about how seriously very complex and complicated and convoluted this situation is, that just tells me that this lawyer is going to be going for some type of, either we had mitigating circumstances, insanity deal, insanity plea, or we're going to talk about, like I said before, the affirmative defense of, yes, Your Honor, I did murder my parents, but fill in the blank. They were trying to kill me. They were abusing me. They were this, they were that. My father R-worded me when I was a little boy. I mean, I'm this is purely speculative. This is academic discussion. I'm not saying that these are allegations that have been made against Rob and Michelle Reiner. I'm not saying that Nick Reiner is going to make these allegations. This is merely for the purpose of academic discussion. again, as a layperson, a lawyer starts talking about this stuff, I read it as it's either guilty, I did do it, no contest, I'm not going to dispute the charges, but I'm not going to admit guilt, or no, Your Honor, I absolutely didn't do this. It doesn't sound like not guilty is on the table right now, based on how quickly he was arrested. But then again, mistakes have been made. And the lawyer's not coming out saying that my client didn't do it. He's saying it's complicated. And when you start your first presser with, it's complicated, that tells me that this is going to be, it's probably going to be a wild defense. And I don't mean untrue, because we don't know what it is yet, but it's probably going to be a wild in the sense of it's going to be a show on the part of the defense. And they're probably going to want time to go over this with the state prosecutors, see what kind of plea deal can be offered. Maybe it will be taken, maybe it won't. I have no idea, but it's going to be something. It's going to be something. All right, guys. It might be. Netflix deal only benefits Netflix and no one else. True. All right, guys. We're going to get on out of here. Hope to see you all Sunday. We're going to have some more new videos later this week. I may or may not have one for you tomorrow. I don't know. I would need to go record one right now, and my throat is about to... it's full of salt, rusted razor blades, and fire right now. So I need a break, and I'll try to do something later this evening. If not, we'll have a new one out Friday. So look, if we don't have new videos every day, that's okay. It's actually probably going to be better for this channel that we don't, as opposed to forcing in things. Now, again, that doesn't mean that we won't have some shorts, like some like YouTube shorts, but I think they've now extended to like 2 minutes or something. I don't even know anymore. YouTube shorts are always kind of weird. That's some filler space. It hits a different portion of the YouTube audience, so we're trying to mix things up again to try to get the channel back into growth mode. So hopefully 2026 will be better than 2025 even. And we go from there. So stay tuned. But make sure, again, when you see these videos pop out, especially the long form ones, videos that are like 20 minutes, there's probably very, very high degree of probability going forward that they're going to be new videos. They're going to be original content. So appreciate it. And thank you guys so much. And we will see you on Sunday. Take care.